Am I the asshole for my refusal to attend my sister's wedding? Older sister, 41 female, is getting married to her partner of 3-ish years in a month. Older sister and her partner both have children. My sister has a 14-year-old boy and 10-year-old girl. Her partner has a 14-year-old girl, 13-year-old boy and 11-year-old girl. The relationship is controversial. My nephew, 14, has been having trouble with the 14-year-old girl since the 3rd grade, and this actually escalated when they were doing virtual classrooms. She would write a lot of insults about my nephew and used the voice feature to target my nephew. But still, my sister and her partner started a romantic relationship and even moved in together. My nephew expressed a lot of unhappiness about this. So did his grandparents, bio father's parents. He's not involved, but they were always very generous in helping my sister with my nephew. My sister stopped all contact with the paternal grandparents as a result of them speaking up. When my sister and her partner got engaged, my nephew didn't take it well. There was a public scene where he told everyone present that she was marrying his bully's dad and didn't give a shit about him. My sister was furious. Nephew was devastated that his mom was marrying her partner, even knowing how he'd feel. My sister didn't want to hear from anyone, including me, that it was a bad idea and she risked losing her son. She told me he didn't get to dictate her life and they'd deal with the bullying, but he was being unreasonable about everything. I told her my nephew deserved space away from the girl, and she told me he can't pick. His family and siblings fight sometimes. 2 months ago my nephew ran away. He was gone for 2.5 weeks and we were searching everywhere. He'd wanted to go to his grandparents but worried they'd get into trouble. CPS intervened when he was found, and my nephew was removed from my sister's home and was given a placement with his grandparents, which was his first choice. I talked to him since and he said he was glad he was removed. He said he had been prepared to keep running away, and he told the social worker that and more. We're in touch frequently and I get to visit him. My sister could visit, but my nephew doesn't want to see her. But she's proceeding with everything like normal. We fought over her picking the relationship over nephew. She told me I'll never understand. My invite came in the middle of all this and I RSVP'd no. I made it clear I would not attend this wedding after everything that's happened. My sister and parents told me I should put aside the family troubles and attend or risk the relationship forever. I told them I stand by my nephew over my sister. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Good on you for standing your ground. I'm not sure why she'd want you there either, with how easily she cuts off people for disagreeing with her decisions. Your sister will probably just live however she wants, unfortunately. Just continue to be a good support system for your nephew. The relationship between him and your sister will be a consequence of her own actions, and it's on her to own up to it. Not the asshole. My sister and parents told me I should put aside the family troubles and attend or risk the relationship forever. I told them I stand by my nephew over my sister. Total kudos to you. She lost her own kid over letting him get bullied. Not the asshole. Your sister is a blithering idiot. She should most definitely be more concerned about her son's well-being over her partner. If the bullying doesn't stop, her marriage will suffer. Not the asshole. And may I suggest making fun plans with your nephew on the wedding day, weekend instead? It's likely going to be a very hard day for him. Having his family around to remind him that he is loved and supported, and doing something to take his mind off what his mom is doing, so he has a fun memory of the day instead, is likely to be something that makes a difference and sticks with him for a long time. It will completely destroy your relationship with your sister and strain your relationship with other members of your family when they learn of it, but sometimes it's best to let the trash take itself out of your life when it offers. Not the asshole. Your sister is right when she said you'll never understand, and that's a good thing. I wouldn't want to understand the reasoning of your sister either, and from what it sounds, choose the nephew over your entire family. P.S. Very smart kid to understand his paternal grandparents would get in trouble if he'd run there. Pretty sure he wouldn't end up in their custody if he went there, but now CPS could send him there as a third party. Good choice of him to do what he did. Keep supporting him. Not the asshole. No one can force you to attend their wedding. It is your choice if you want to go or not, and you said no. I am happy for your nephew that he is in a place where he feels safe, and I am happy that you are taking your nephew's side. Your sister is very selfish if she thinks her love life comes before her son. She doesn't have to break her relationship, but to ignore your nephew like that and not even acknowledging his concerns is selfish. Would I be the asshole if I told people why I'm not invited to my sister's wedding? I am using a throwaway account for this. I, 23 female, have a younger sister, 21 female, who is getting married soon. I got to meet her fiancé at Christmas and thought he was great. I was so extremely happy to find out she was engaged. I noticed around April that I wasn't being invited to any of the wedding events. I asked my sister about it and she called me. When she called me, she explained that Say wasn't inviting me as she believes now that I've been lying to her since we were children. Growing up, my mom wasn't the greatest towards me. She ignored my mental health issues, was homophobic towards me, and constantly belittled me for every aspect of my personality. I talked to my sister about all of this stuff as it was happening. My sister told me that back in September she asked my parents about the stuff I'd told her and my mom denied all of it. My sister told me on the phone that she thinks that I've been lying about all of it since we were kids. This is all stuff I've spoken about in therapy for years now, and mine and my mom's relationship is great now. Since the invitations have gone out, some extended family have asked me about my plans around the wedding, and I've been honest about what's happening. I'm unsure of if IWBTA if I continue to tell family members why I'm not there if they ask why I'm not there on the day. ETA. I don't plan on just telling people, I only plan to tell people if they ask me. Edit 2. My sister did call me back after I called my parents about it, and she said that I might now be lying on purpose, but I may be so mentally ill that I misremembered everything, even though I told her about this stuff as it happened. My mom has agreed that I must just be misremembering, even though I've had a therapist specifically tell me that the way I tell these stories sounds like I'm not making anything up. My sister definitely witnessed basic stuff like my mom making comments about my hair, clothes, hobbies, but the self-harm and sexuality talk happened in private, so she didn't see those. My mom also took my sister's mental health more seriously and tried to help her with it. My other sister is a bridesmaid and told me I should try to see it from my sister's pa. BTA. But if you now have a great relationship with your mom, why don't you ask her why your sister claims your mom denied everything? Someone is lying, why not find out who? Not the asshole. If she doesn't want to treat you like family, you don't have to treat her like family. Respect goes both ways. She's the one ruining the relationship and burning bridges. She's the one embarrassing herself. Not you. You're just telling the truth. And my sister did that as well to me, though she didn't invite me but told everyone she did. So I kept getting questions about several friends and family members being excited to see me and my new child. So I had to make so excuse as to why I couldn't go. I didn't want to dampen her day. Ultimately, I was then villainized by my sister and a lot of people thought I was being an asshole. I got a lot of flack and lost some lifelong relationships. Don't do that to yourself. Give an honest answer. Say I wasn't invited because my sister has accused me on lying about my experiences. Sometimes sisters are just assholes. Not the asshole, and if I were you, I'd be telling anyone that would listen. By the sound of it, it can't get any worse. I don't understand how you have a good relationship with your mom now if she's telling your sister that you're lying about what happened to you as a child. And her attitude of "oh, I don't remember that" extremely narcissistic. It either happened or it didn't happen, and your mother is causing a wedge between you and your sister by saying it did not happen. She's not saying she struggled to remember, she's not acknowledging any of your pain. She's telling your sister you are a liar. Not the asshole. Your sister is busy burning bridges. Write her off. Concentrate your energy on things that make you happy. Would I be the asshole for blowing up at my wife spending our life savings? Last month, my wife and I flew in her sister and her family of 2 to help us raise our 2-month-old daughter. We're a working couple, but she's still on her maternity leave. The tension began when sister plus family needed to do a visa run. Basically what that is they need to leave where we are and fly to another country so that they could get a visa to stay here. Since we were asking them for a favor to help us out with our daughter, at first I didn't mind that my wife was the one booking their plane tickets and hotel accommodation for the visa run. But then instead of a smooth in-and-out process, the thing became one problem after another. First, we dropped them off at the airport and they realized they need a visa to enter the country they're going to. We all thought it was visa-free. So my wife spends our money to get their visa expedited. That also meant we had to rebook their flights with, guess what? Our money. Second, this morning on the return leg, My wife received a notification from the airline that the flight is delayed. So she passes on the message to her sister. Her sister then decides to arrive at the airport at a later time cause the delay was 3+ hours. However, what my wife and her sister failed to notice is a clause in the notification which states that the check-in time remains the same. So when sis plus family go to the airport, the check-in gate was closed and they couldn't board. So again, my wife spends our money to book new flights for them plus new hotel akama for a couple of days. All told, 80% of our savings are gone just because of this whole exercise. She did apologize to me over spending our money, but I just can't shake the feeling of, we worked our ass off for that savings and God knows we need it. The real kicker in my nuts is that she's considering leaving her job to take care of our daughter, which would leave me as the sole source of income in the household. We're already at a situation where I only keep less than 5% of my paycheck and give everything to bills and towards our savings. But after this whole visa run, I'm hours away from telling off my wife to stop babying her older sister over this. I mean, the sister and her husband prepared savings for their journey to help us out. Why don't they spend it? Is it because we're the ones asking for a favor? Anyways, that's my predicament now. I haven't spoken to my wife yet since I woke up and headed to work. I'm still ambivalent how I feel about this because I feel my decision in the next couple of hours could mean I'm a husband that doesn't understand or I'm a wuss for letting my wife spend all our money just like that. Update. I had a conversation with my wife and it was a weight off my shoulders. We decided together to set boundaries with how much we're spending towards our in-laws. I haven't opened up the matter of her quitting her job, one problem at a time. Some extra info. Yes, I drive a Mustang, owned it for 3 years. My wife helped me buy it and it's going to be paid off in 2 months. I also collect diecast using that 5% of my salary. Everything else goes to bills and to savings. The savings I'm talking about here was meant for us to migrate elsewhere, but now it looks like we're back to square one in terms of saving up. We live in the UAE. Update 2. Thanks everyone for making me realize this is the price I pay for being disengaged in the process. I should have done my due diligence and helped my wife out with checking and verifying information. Plus I never thought of looking at it from an employer-employee perspective since they're family, so I looked at it through that. Your comments made me realize it's not a you deal with your family, I deal with mine type of deal. We as a couple gotta look out for each other's backs. Update 3. We might get some money back because the airline they initially had booked is willing to give us a refund. Apparently other passengers got affected by the 3+ hour delay and missed the plane. Silver lining, I guess. This is my final update from now. Man, everyone here has been brutally honest and it stings, yes, but it's much needed. Thank you all. So if 80% of you savings can be eaten up by 3 extra plane tickets and expedited visas, it sounds like you don't actually have a lot of savings. You both must be under a lot of stress right now, and it sucks that you're dealing with your stress by getting mad at her, and she's dealing with her stress by trying to get her family into the country to help even if it eats your savings. But this situation doesn't sound like one of carelessness, but one of desperation. You two need to learn to talk about your stresses and make a game plan in both of your interests. I'm going with Esh. You are the asshole. First of all, you're asking for a pretty big favor here, and despite them being family, I kinda see you more as their employer here. Also, given that, 1. They're in your country and doing the visa run from there, and 2. Essentially under your employment care, why is it not on you to check on the details here? By you, I mean you and your wife together? This wasn't meant to be expensive, it was expensive because nobody bothered checking the fine print? Why is it on your wife to check the details? Because it's her sister? But then her sister is doing this to help your kid? So you are the asshole for pushing off all the blame and not taking responsibility for any of it. You essentially wanted the nanny issue resolved without lifting a finger and are throwing a tantrum when it didn't go smoothly. Why do you need help raising a 2-month-old? You are the asshole, you guys clearly didn't think it through. So, they're helping to care for your child, but they should foot the bill for a visa run? Which, by the way, what was your long-term plan for the repeated cost of future visas? You sound strangely disengaged from both the details, the benefit her family is providing to you, and your own feelings. You're ambivalent but you're considering blowing up at her? I don't know if you're leaving out details or what, but you and your wife need better communication and financial planning. I wouldn't call that kind of money life savings, that's just savings. But sounds like you're struggling financially, and your wife has no sense of responsibility or understanding of how to travel. Not the asshole, she needs a reality check. You are the asshole because if you hired a nanny for this level of childcare, it would be way more expensive, assuming you are in the developed world. Are you even going to pay your sister-in-law for minding your baby? Because housing her isn't enough. Look up the employer obligations in your area. Just because you are employing family doesn't mean it isn't a work relationship. Be a good boss. You are the asshole, but your family is disorganized. That's my judgment for them. Am I the asshole for taking the money from selling my grandparents' home and not sharing with my cousins? I, 25F, have an older brother, 26M. It's just the two of us, no other siblings. My mother is the oldest of 2 kids. She's got a younger brother who is a deadbeat father to his 6 kids. When my grandparents were alive, they bought a big house, 7 bedrooms with a lake view, in the 1970s, but my grandfather only paid the $5,000 down payment before he had to quit his job due to a sudden stroke. My mom took up the responsibility of paying for the house and paying for my grandpa's medical expenses. My grandmother was a SAHW and unemployed. My mom worked part-time while working towards getting a degree and landed a great job with amazing perks. Grandpa got medical insurance from mom's job. My uncle got my aunt pregnant at 17 and continued to have 6 more kids in 12 years before cheating on her, divorcing her and marrying the mistress. My aunt was a poor girl with no support from her family. My grandma took pity and asked her and my cousins to move in. My mother continued to be the one to pay the bills, mortgage, kids' basic needs and insurance. Aunt never offered to pay even when her dad died and left her a sum of money. Uncle only came back home when he wanted money from my grandma. The kids are now adults, all older than me now, and 4/6 of them have good jobs. Yet no one in the past decade has ever contributed to the upkeep and bills. Granted, 5 of them have moved out, but my aunt and her youngest still lives there. Now comes to the problem. Since both my grandparents have passed, Mom wants to sell. The house is in her name. Grandpa sold the house to her when he couldn't afford it anymore, not just a change in name on the deed. The house is legally and wholly hers, and she wants to put it on the market. That house can go up to $3.7 million now after numerous renovations funded by my mom and dad. The cousins got a whiff of this and started hounding via call and text to my mom about how it isn't fair that they weren't in the discussion to sell the house, and that their mom and sibling have to find someplace else to live. To which my mom suggested them to live with the oldest since she just bought a 4-bedroom home. My mom initially, out of the goodness of her heart, wanted to give them a cut, but because they were being rude and causing problems, she wants to take the whole profit and put it in my brother's and I's trust funds. They found this out when one of them, who was still in my mom's good graces, were visiting our home and found the paperwork on her desk. My mom is the neat and tidiest person I know. She doesn't leave anything on her desk. That cousin must have searched for it. They are now taking this to the extended family's group chat about how unfair this is and that my grandparents wouldn't have wanted this for them. A lot of people are rallying behind them and demonizing us now. Not the asshole, he sold it to her. That's that. It's hers. If your grandparents have other money to be inherited, some sort of split is probably reasonable, straight to the 6 kids and bypassing you deadbeat uncle in my opinion, but the house no longer has anything to do with them. Edit. Sounds like the grandparents had no other assets, so that pretty much settles it. There is no inheritance here. The fact that he briefly owned a house had nothing to do with anything. Not the asshole. The house is your mother's. She paid for it. She can do what she wants with it. Don't let your mom be bullied into giving them anything. They've had a free ride for years. They really have nothing to complain about. You have mischaracterized the issue. You can't be the asshole because you aren't doing anything here. This is between your mom and her sibling. Not the asshole. This is a good time to learn that not every negative reaction from someone else requires a reconsideration of one's own behavior. If a car drives on the wrong side of the road while the driver honks and shrieks at me angrily, I'm not going to question whether I'm in the wrong. Just because there are 2 sides to every story doesn't make all opinions equally valid. Your mother has no legal, ethical or moral responsibility here. You should remind her that giving them money at this point won't fix their larger problems. At best, She's adding to their procrastination, which will only further exacerbate the issues. She could be doing more harm than good. She shouldn't risk her own children's inheritance to test that theory. Not the asshole.
The house is legally your mom's. The aunt and family had a place to live for free, for decades.
If your mom, who has been subsidizing Auntie, wants to sell the house, it is her money, not an inheritance from the grandparents. Your mom could be super generous and give Auntie $4,000 for first and last month's rent at an apartment.
Not the asshole, but your mom should tell them that she's thought about it and that they're right. It's unfair. It's unfair that their mom never paid rent while living in her home while raising the kids, and that your mom took care of all of their basic needs, allowing the kids to grow up in a nice house instead, who knows where.
And they're right, the older kids should definitely help pay for all of the rent, insurance, etc. costs. Your mom will get them a number. It's so nice of them to want to pay her back.